Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Daliah Husu and I am a transgendered woman. I'm also the author of I Am Woman, Surviving the Past, the Present, and the Future. This is my recent memoir, which is now available on Amazon.com, and it's also available through my website, www.daliahusu.com. So today I wanted to read um, a small excerpt from chapter 6 of my book. So I'll probably be reading just 2 pages from the beginning of the chapter. And this takes place in the late 1990s when I was 19 years old. I was just beginning to experiment with my sexuality and to really kind of beginning to understand a little bit more about what gender identity was. Although the first 2 pages I read, I was still confused. With gender identity and sexuality. I always coupled those two together, and I will explain more about it as I read. So let's go ahead and read the first 2 pages. Keep in mind this is pre-transition. I was still a boy at this time. Chapter 6. In the 90s, South Beach boomed with the wild gay scene, and finding sex in the drug-riddled nightclubs and the testosterone-pumped beaches was easy. Because I was underage for clubbing, I spent my days on the sand, tanning and scoping out the eye candy. The 12th Street Beach was the gay hotspot for cruising and hooking up with sexy locals and horny foreigners. It was also a breeding ground for syphilis and HIV, so I protected myself by using condoms whenever I had sex with a stranger. For the most part, I enjoyed watching the illicit activities taking place in the water. The frenzy of strange hands, pulling, poking, groping, and tugging beneath the water's surface was unstoppable. Upon entering the water, men flocked towards the new meat, ready to take a bite and taste the goods. As more and more men gathered in the water, they huddled into groups, creating a synchronized aquatic orgy that moved like a school of fish. Within these circles, they took turns submerging themselves underwater and servicing each other orally. While the water was beaming with erotic activity, men on the shore were more subtle with their approach to getting laid. Bubble butts, rippling abs, and pulsing pectorals baked under the hot sun. Hundreds of hard bodies in skimpy speedos populated the 12th Street beach. The men knew they were hot, so they flaunted their goods by flexing their muscles and stretching their oily physiques in an attempt to catch people's attention. Heads constantly turned whenever an Adonis rose from his beach towel to shake the sand off his tight derriere. The shore at 12th Street Beach was heaven for me. At the time, I identified as being gay because I didn't know of a better word to accurately describe myself. The words transsexual or transgender were unknown to me, and like many people, I coupled sexuality and gender identity as one because I didn't understand or know how to differentiate between the two. In my mind, being gay was synonymous with cross-dressing, acting and speaking like the opposite sex. I learned this simple but erroneous equation from the world. It was the same equation used by my parents, kids on the playground, the media, and church. It was the equation used to formulate statements like, he must be a homo because he has a lisp when he talks, and he's too pretty to be a guy. Since when does speech impediment denote a person's sexuality or being pretty determine sex or gender? If a behavior differs from the heteronormative or gender normative guidelines allotted by society, it is automatically labeled queer. This was my misguided belief for many years. My gay days, as I now jokingly refer to them, were a time in my life in which I experimented with my sexuality and tried proving to myself that I could be a man like any other. In order to validate my sexuality, my masculinity, and break free from the twinkie and effeminate molds I was typecast into, I began working out and taking steroids. More than anything, I wanted to be a part of the gay community without standing out as a stereotypical queen. Instead, I wanted to blend in as a masculine man. So I did what I believed macho men did. I had a lot of meaningless sex. The more sex I had, the more I wanted. Sex became an obsession and an addiction that fed my need and want of acceptance. It became a value system in which I rated myself based on how many men I slept with, especially topped. Using other men to boost my self esteem and self worth felt good for the moment. And at my lowest, I sought out sex on internet dating sites, in the back rooms of adult bookstores, under the thick canopy of public parks, and even on the seedy piers of the Hudson River in New York City. My sexual appetite would only calm down in my mid 20s when I began hormone replacement therapy, also known as HRT. All right, we're going to leave it right there and we'll continue that in another video. We'll do a couple more excerpts from the book. Please feel free to leave me a comment, your thoughts, your ideas, or to just send me a message directly through the messaging system on Facebook, on my Twitter page, or through my website. So hopefully this intrigues you to order the book through Amazon or through my website, www.daliahhusu.com, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the read. Thank you for tuning in. Talk to you soon.